The main selling point with Donovan Clingan is his dominant defense, but that doesn't mean that there isn't still a lot to be really excited about on the offensive end. All season, Clingan proved to be one of the most consistent, most dominant, and most efficient at rim play finishers in the entire country. The tape obviously backs it up, but even when we dive into the numbers, it gets highlighted even more. When we look at the numbers from our friends over at Synergy, we see that overall, Clingan scored 1.203 points per possession, which ranked in the 98th percentile. When we break it down by play type, it's still just as impressive. On post ups, he scored 1.173 points per possession, which ranked in the 95th percentile. On cuts, 1.367 points per possession, 77th percentile. Offensive rebounds, 1.194 points per possession, 63rd percentile. And as the pick and roll man, 1.311 points per possession, which ranked in the 86th percentile. Additionally, in the half court, Clingan shot over 70% at the rim. He was consistent from start to finish all season long. Now, obviously, from an NBA center, from a focal point of your team, you want a little more than just exclusively at rim finishing. It's a great skill to have, but it inevitably puts a cap on what type of player you can be and what type of impact you can have on a team. Being a great screener, an at rim finisher, and rim runner is crucial for a center. Clingan has that, but can he do more? And the more scouts and executives that you talk to, the more they think he can. The big intrigue with him is, first, is he going to shoot it? And second, how dynamic and impactful can his passing be? When we look at the shot, it's entirely theoretical. Unfortunately, Clingan only took 8 three-point attempts all season long. So a lot of that is trying to figure out, did he not take three-pointers because he can't? Or did he not take them because that's just not what UConn needed from him? They had plenty of floor spacers. They didn't exactly struggle offensively all season, so why put a guy in a position where it could disrupt things? When we look at Clingan's mechanics, though, they look solid. And execs and scouts continue to think that he's going to shoot it in some form or fashion. That doesn't mean he's going to be a prolific threat off the bounce or off the catch like a Cat or a Porzingis, where he's significantly stretching the floor. But if he can be a Jonas Valanciunas-esque type of shooter where he's taking 2 to 3 and shooting 35 to 38%, that's huge. Because it's going to force defenders to take that extra step or two out towards him. It's going to diversify his screening game and his rolling game. And it's going to open up a lot more passing and playmaking opportunities, which for me is the most intriguing part about his long-term offensive upside. As a freshman, Clingan's playmaking numbers were bad. He had an assist rate of just 7.5 and a turnover rate of 18.7. Not where you want those numbers to be. As a sophomore, though, on the exact same usage, Clingan had an assist rate of 13.4 and a turnover rate of just 8.7. He completely flipped those numbers. He doubled his assist rate and essentially halved his turnover rate while on the exact same usage. When we look at Clingan's playmaking, a lot of it comes in the flow of the offense. He's obviously not going to be a Jokic-esque passer, but can he be a Derek Lively type of passer? And the more that you watch his film, it really feels like he can. He's fantastic at finding cutters, at creating out of the short roll, of catching in traffic, of controlling his momentum. The offensive upside with Clingan is really intriguing, not from a primary scoring option, but as a big-time play finisher and a really interesting facilitator. I'm Tyler Metcalf. Welcome to Film School. Let's dive in. When we scout these players and try and figure out what's real in terms of their NBA translation, it's super important to apply context. So even though Clingan was absolutely dominant and super efficient as a post-up scorer and post-up playmaker, we're not really going to look at those situations in this video too much because I don't really expect him to post up much, if at all, in the NBA. So the couple that he may get every game will probably be in mismatch situations, but the bulk of his offensive opportunities are going to come from rolling and cutting and finding open pockets. So instead, we're going to focus more on how he does rolling to the rim, creating for others, controlling his body, and kind of finishing around the rim. So on this clip, we just have a really solid example of his ability to catch in traffic, control his body, and finish outside of the restricted area or, on a non-dunk shot attempt. So as the play progresses here, they basically just have an empty corner pick and roll or DHO, I guess, if you want to be picky about it. Same premise. But after the handoff here, Clingan's going to open up and roll into all this space. As he rolls, he sees that his defender is really aggressive, playing at the level, so he knows that there is going to be a weak side rotation from the low man here. That allows him to anticipate this rotation and immediately get into this jump stop right off the catch. That ensures that he's able to kill his momentum and not barrel into this just really solid weak side rotation and avoid an offensive foul. So on the catch and the jump stop, Clingan also does a really good job of going straight into a shot fake, which gets this defender off his feet. Again, Clingan does a really good job of not barreling into him or throwing up a bad shot here. He could probably elevate and maybe get a foul call, but instead he takes a great dribble against the defender's momentum. He's now out of the play, but Clingan knows that his defender has recovered. However, Clingan has established a really deep post position here. So instead of panicking or, getting into a bad shot, Clingan just really simply and smoothly turns over his left shoulder for a little bunny floater here on the right-handed hook, drops it in. From start to finish, it's nothing crazy, but it's a really good example of Clingan's body control and scoring touch and ability to kind of maneuver in space and in traffic. Again, we have a really good example of Clingan catching and finishing in traffic on the roll here. So as he sets the screen, solid screen, defense is yet again playing at the level. And as the defender goes under the screen, Clingan's going to curl off of that and run off of this Spain action, stack action, back screen by Cam Spencer. As Clingan's rolling, he knows that his defender was at the level and is now in chase and recover mode, which means that this left block is unoccupied and is going to draw the rotation from the weak side defender. Almost identical scenario to the previous clip. This time, Clingan gets kind of more of a lob pass over the top, catches it high, eyes immediately go to the defender, who is a little later, a little deeper on his rotation than the previous clip. But again, instead of just barreling through him, Clingan does a really good job of maneuvering his body to avoid the rotation, avoid the shot blocker, slide between the two defenders, and then finish on the opposite side of the rim to ensure that this recovering defender doesn't even have a chance at blocking the shot. He probably wouldn't have had a chance to block it regardless, but by finishing on the other side of the rim, Clingan further ensures that his shot is going to be protected. Easy 2 points. One more time. Solid roll. Catches in traffic. Avoids the defenders. Easy bucket. All right, this action by UConn is a little more convoluted, but it still all leads to the same general premise of just getting Clingan rolling downhill in an empty corner situation. So they have a ton of window dressing, a lot of screens, a lot of movement going on here, but it's just let's free up Clingan, get him rolling downhill, and the catch in traffic, the rim running, it's going to be effective. So let's kind of break this down from start to finish here. So right off the bat, they're running Cam Spencer off this little stagger screen here, and Clingan's immediately going into screening again for him on the opposite side. Spencer denies the screen and is going to go set it back here for Castle, who's then going to run off of it, and the ball swinging to Clingan at the top of the key. Now, in an NBA context, Clingan's defender probably isn't going to be this deep, and if Clingan is going to really shoot it at the next level, this is an easy look for him. Let it fly. Why not? But he knows what the end goal here is, so he's just going within the flow of the offense. goes into the DHO here. Castle's going to clear out to the opposite side. Clingan is now going to come in and set this down screen that Spencer's going to run off of. And now he's rolling. He knows that this little peek over the shoulder, he sees where his defender is. He's kind of playing a drop coverage. And as Spencer's defender goes over the screen, Clingan knows that they're going to be attacking this empty corner, essentially empty corner pick and roll in a 2v1 situation. And if his defender steps to Spencer at all, Clingan knows that he's going to have an easy bucket here because the weak side defenders are focused on their guys, backs to the play. There isn't going to be a weak side rotation here. So as Spencer comes off, Klingan's defender is caught in no man's land, hard roll to the rim, easy catch, easy dunk. One last time from start to finish so we can see Clingan flow into all these different actions, setting kind of screens across the board. Just really nice offense here from UConn. NBA teams typically don't run that much window dressing as college teams tend to, but we still see a lot of it, and it's all to get this big man right there with the fewest defenders possible. Now we get into the really fun part, which is Klingan's passing, and we can kind of see the different situations in which he can affect and elevate an NBA offense that has any semblance of off-ball movement and off-ball scores. So from here, Klingan's just going to get a little catch at the elbow. Nothing crazy here, but he's going to have a lot of different options out of this. Tristan Newton's going to curl off this Caravan down screen and go into, what could be a DHO with Clingan. Instead, Caravan slips this screen, and Clingan is just reading these two defenders along with the weak side defender and just makes the right decision. He sees Caravan slip it as both these defenders try and take away the handoff to Newton, and he sees that the weak side defender still has both feet out of the paint and isn't in the lane to kind of obstruct Caravan. This should be an easy layup. Clingan delivers a perfect pass in traffic and sets up Caravan for the finish. So again, one more time, it's nothing shocking or, manipulative. It's Clingan just simply reading what the defense is doing and making the right read out of it, and him being able to kind of operate like that from the elbows is exactly what NBA cutters can thrive off of. This time we see Clingan yet again find a cutter out of an action that we see a ton in the NBA. So as Klingan's going to get the ball at the top of the key here, he's just going to go and make it look like they're going to execute a DHO. Caravan does a really good job of planting that top foot, which gets his defender to bite, and this is incredibly common with off-ball shooters who have a real threat and demand that their defenders play ball denial. These back cuts are open all the time, and consistently this year, Clingan played with NBA-level off-ball shooters who are also awesome cutters, and he found them constantly. Caravan does a great job here of cutting. Clingan reads it easily, sees lane is completely wide open, live dribble bounce pass through traffic, leads Caravan right to the rim. This is a really just solid play. Again, Klingan's just reading what the defense is doing and delivering a perfect pass. UConn's off-ball cutting all season was phenomenal, and a big reason it was so effective is because Clingan constantly found guys when they cut to the rim. This is, again, just really solid way of reading and countering any lapses on the defensive end. So Tristan Newton's going to give it up, circle out, and Caravan's going to go to kind of set this back screen on DeJuan Harris. As Newton clears out, McCullough switched that, and he's going to turn his back to go with Newton as he relocates. Caravan decides to slip this screen, and Clingan is reading all three of these defenders. He sees that KJ Adams communicating the switch. He sees that DeJuan Harris's back is to him, so he's basically out of the play. And he sees that Kevin McCullough's back is to the play as well. As Caravan slips the screen and cuts to the rim, Clingan just really decisively and immediately. There's no hesitation here, which is the key. He delivers perfect pass to Caravan, doesn't lead him into McCullough, and Caravan's able to kill his momentum, finish with the layup one more time at full speed. Just the decisiveness here from Clingan is fantastic. In the NBA, Clingan's obviously going to have to earn that role of being, one of the main facilitators or offensive engines. But early on, given his screening ability, he's going to be expected to create for others out of the short roll, kind of in a similar way that we've seen from Derek Lively this year. And a lot of what Clingan did this year out of the roll and out of the short roll was really impressive. And we see how his vision kind of translates to these situations too. We saw earlier how he's able to control his body on the roll and in traffic to score. And now we see him do it in these situations to create for others. So they're just going to run this empty corner pick and roll. Seton Hall is icing it, so Clingan just kind of rolls to the middle. His defender's playing at the level again, similar to what we saw in the previous clip, and he's just going to catch it here at the elbow. Since he's so far outside of, the paint or, away from the rim, he's not super eager at just barreling into the rim because he knows how much space is here, and he knows that as he's turning, there's going to be a help defender. Since he knows that two defenders are already taken out of the play, he also knows that his teammates, who are incredible cutters, are also probably going to be crashing from the weak side. So as he turns over his shoulder in traffic here, it's just an immediate, quick decision. It's an easy read that he does constantly. He's attracted the defenders. He's capitalizing on their lapses, by being so focused on him, and just feeds Caravan for the easy dunk. So one more time, this isn't rocket science by Clingan, but it's doing the little things and doing them quickly every single time that makes the difference. On this one, we get a little more kind of manipulation out of Clingan here. This one's kind of showing off a little bit more of his playmaking craft. So initially, just solid, finds the cutter, 2v1 situation on the weak side, easy layup. But as we go through it here, from the start, Clingan does a really good job of finding this open pocket to kind of settle into, to make himself available for Cam Spencer. He doesn't just recklessly roll into the paint. He's making sure that he's positioning himself so his teammate, who's getting doubled right here, has an outlet. As he gets this pass, he just catches and immediately surveys. He knows that that there were two defenders on the ball, and he obviously has the guy right in front of him, so he knows that there's this weak side advantage. Let me just back it up just a little bit here so we can get the whole ball fake. As he turns over his shoulder, he's trying to free up Caravan here, so he just looks off a little bit toward fake, makes this little subtle fake towards Newton, which gets this low man defender to just freeze for half a second, which frees up Caravan enough to set up the layup. Fun little bit of craft, spatial awareness, and Clingan showing off a little bit of creativity. I really like this one from Clingan. Again, not rocket science, but it's a good example of just kind of his footwork, his ability to rescreen, and his spatial awareness going on here. And if you haven't noticed, Alex Caravan and the Donovan Clingan pairing, it worked. All right, so from the start here, a little DHO, and Clingan does a great job of immediately rescreening, which forces the defender to go over. This little 2v1 situation, and Clingan is yet again just rolling and settling into all of this open space in the middle of the floor. So as he catches here, very almost identical situation to the last couple clips where he could take this floater, he could, attack the rim, but he knows that he has a numbers advantage with Newton on the wing, Caravan in the corner, likely cutting, and this defender stepping up to him. So it's all, what is the weak side defender going to do here? Clingan takes a little power dribble, which attracts the attention of the weak side defender. At the next level, he's probably making this pass out to Newton for the wide open three, but he wants to lay up, and he knows that Caravan is cutting. A little pocket pass, Caravan gets the easy layup. So one more time, just really like this footwork and spatial awareness and the patience by Clingan here. He's never rushing anything and just making the easy read. Donovan Clingan doesn't have the sexiest offensive repertoire in this draft. However, he has one of the most malleable ones. At a minimum, Donovan Clingan is going to be an incredibly efficient at rim play finisher. He has great body control, really solid scoring touch, and isn't afraid to exactly put defenders on a poster. Out of the short roll, Clingan has a lot of body control and spatial awareness that allows him to finish in a variety of ways and create for others after a defensive rotation comes to him. He's really patient, he's rarely rushed, and he just is constantly making the right decision on every offensive possession. Now, the argument could be made that UConn just put him in fantastic positions based on what they run. And sure, there's some of that, but a big reason they're able to run what they run is because of Donovan Clingan and his versatility, his dominance, his physical prowess, and his passing ability. Clingan probably isn't going to be an offensive focal point. He's not going to be creating necessarily for teammates like a Jokic or Şengün, but as a connective passer, as someone who can keep the ball moving and create for others out of different sets while making the right play, who can generate additional possessions through his offensive rebounding and kick out to shooters. He can settle in those open pockets out of the roll and kick it to a cutter or a corner shooter. Clingan's passing is exactly what you want from a role-playing offensive center, and that's probably what he is going to be in the NBA. Maybe one day Clingan really shoots it prolifically and is getting 7 assists a game. Maybe, but probably not, because that's a really high bar for any player to reach. But if he's letting 2 to 3 3-point attempts fly per game and moving the ball like he does, 4 or 5 assists a game isn't totally unreasonable. His ability to screen and roll and pop and affect the offense in a variety of ways is really, really valuable. So, yes, Donovan Clingan's main selling point is his rebounding and his defensive dominance. However, his at-rim finishing, the shooting potential, and the playmaking impact that he has will help any offense that he goes to.